Hey, beloved, welcome to another chapter of the book of Sean. Thank you for tuning in. I'm excited about what we're going to do tonight. My dear brother Jay is here. I cannot wait to talk to him about his life, his journey, his overcoming. You know what I'm saying? Because I say this all the time. None of us dropped out of heaven. We all climbed up out of hell. My brother's no different. I'm just like him, climbing up out of hell, trying to make it, but he's making it. And I want to listen to his heart and his journey. Listen, around here, we're celebrating 2 years. Foxhole! No confetti, no nothing. Anyway, happy anniversary, Foxhole. We're 2 years old. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's always a delight and a pleasure to bring what we bring to you each time that we get to bring it. And we hope to prove ourselves to be more and more worthy of your time and your attention as we struggle to bring you the glory and the grime, right? The grandeur and the silly. The salacious, the gossip, the serious, the sublime, the significant. We bring it all because all of it makes us who we are. Happy anniversary, Foxhole, 2 years. It's a beautiful thing. Listen, I got a great show for you. I'm going to do some headlines. I got some Ask Dr. Sean. My brother Jay is here. Let's do some headlines. Hiley's back. Let's talk about slavery, people. Interesting way to start, huh? But let's do it anyway. So it turns out the Washington Post did an investigation, and they found out that at least, brace yourself, 1,700 people who served in Congress also owned slaves. just let that sink into your little spirit. 1,700 people who were in the United States Congress, both congressmen and senators, they also owned slaves. In fact, the first woman to serve as a United States senator was also a slave owner. How the hell are you going to be a woman and be a slave owner? Well, they didn't want to give you the right to vote, which you got to earn. You got the gall to own some slaves. I'm still baffled by the kind of evil you got to be committed to go so far as to think that you have the unmitigated gall to own another human being. Slavery was a debilitating and hideous and tragic and awful condition that our people found ourselves in. And I don't know if you remember this, Colin Kaepernick on his little Netflix show, and I'm being pejorative on person, tried to compare the NFL draft to slavery. It's not the same thing, Colin. It's not the same thing, okay? Nobody paid the slaves millions of dollars to run down a field with a football to the cheering of millions of fans. Don't cheapen slavery. Don't cheapen my great-great-grandmother's slavery by comparing it to the NFL draft. Don't do that, sir. I love you. You're my brother, but don't do that. Don't leave the generations that spent their time in slavery alone. Slavery was a grinding, debilitating experience that tried to reduce us into dust. And the only reason we survived it is not because of Abraham Lincoln. It was because we stronger than them. I'm going to get fired, but that's okay. Woo! Hear me when I tell you this. But these 1,700 Congress people who owned slaves, they never batted an eye. They never saw any problem with it. I'm still amazed how one person believes they have the right to own another person. What kind of evil do you got to be committed to do that? And it's not just because they didn't see black people as human. Of course, that's true. But it's also because they didn't believe in their own principles. This country and its leaders have never believed in its own principles. Freedom, justice, equality, liberty for all, equal protection under the law. We still can't get the police to believe that. They were in Congress and they didn't believe nothing they were pledging an oath to. Slavery is a wound in the American soul. And we could be done with conversations about slavery if racism had not outlived it. 2-3, you know that was good, right? Because we could stop talking about slavery if racism had not outlived it. The reason we still have to talk about it is the thing that produced it is still alive. Anti-blackness, racist thinking, and sensibility. It's still here. And the reason we keep having to talk about slavery is because the thing that produced it is still walking around. Slavery would be a dead issue if you people would let racism die. But you don't. So it's not. But let's move on. I don't want to get fired tonight. It's our 2-year anniversary. So listen to this. You guys ever heard of this lady named Sarah Beam? Sarah Bean was recent. That's her right there. Keep a picture up just for a little while for me, my dear brother. Sarah Bean, this is the woman who locked her 13-year-old son in the trunk so that she wouldn't get COVID because he was positive. Yes, let me say it again. That lady right there, her name is Sarah Bean, and she locked her 13-year-old son in the trunk of her car because she went to get a COVID test and he was COVID and she didn't want to get it. So she thought the best way for her not to get COVID was to lock him in the trunk. Here's my question. Who puts that 13-year-old child in a trunk? I mean, what level of insanity do you have to participate in to think that it's okay to put him in? I mean, the boy was 13 years old. He's not a toddler. You couldn't find another way? You couldn't have left him at home? You couldn't have, how about you quarantine him in the bathroom or something? I mean, come on. You thought the only way for you not to get COVID was to lock your 13-year-old son in the trunk. It just goes to show you, listen people, it just goes to show you that everybody having sex shouldn't have a child. You know, the Pope was wrong, man. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Pope said everybody should have kids. I love you, Pope Francis, but you out of your damn mind. This woman is a wonderful example of somebody who had sex, but probably should not have a child. You don't lock your son in the trunk of a car? I don't care what my son would have. I'm not locking him in a car. And if you try to lock my son in the trunk of a car, I'm knocking you out. Oh my God. So now let's get serious for a second. Now this young man is traumatized twice, because he's traumatized once because he has COVID, and he's traumatized a second time because his mother locked him in the trunk of a car. We're not even going to get into how people found out he was in the trunk. That's a whole nother comedy special. But the reality is this young man is traumatized because he cannot trust his mother. So how will he ever learn to trust his wife? If you can't trust your mother, how do you trust your girlfriend? If you can't trust your mother, how do you trust your sister? If your mother locks you in a trunk, then what will your wife do? What will your girlfriend do? What will your sister do? What will your female coworker or boss do? This mother has ruined this young man for any other woman that might come into his life, because if you can't trust your mama, then who in the world else can you trust? And how many kids have we ruined? How many kids have we ruined because the primary relationships that should have made them feel secure made them feel like nothing? And we sent kids out into the world, both boys and girls out into the world, broken and wounded and hurting and suffering. And we told them, fall in love, meet somebody, get a job. We forgot to tell them that they should heal. So now we got wounded people loving other wounded people, producing more wounded people. And we wonder why the world is in the shape that it's in. Thankfully, the mother who locked her 13-year-old son in the car was charged with a crime because she's guilty of one. But here's what I want you to remember. Listen, lean in and listen. Most of the people that hurt you because they were broken when they met you. And I want you to remember that that's also true for your parents. Most of them were broken long before you arrived. Let's go to another headline, 2, 3. So listen, I think I saw this on Sunday or Monday, whatever I saw it. And there's a black market for COVID tests, people. Did you know this? That there's a people are buying bulk COVID, regular people, I'm not talking about a big store. Regular people are buying bulk COVID tests and they are reselling them for black market prices. There's a black market for COVID tests. And none of it's illegal, but all of it is immoral. And I'll tell you why it's immoral. How you gonna make a profit off people trying to figure out if they about to die? How you gonna make a profit on that? Come on, people. In America, everything is for sale. People will sell you a COVID test for a profit because they're more concerned about making money than they are about not getting COVID or you not dying. And that's what's wrong with America, people. Come on, let's go there. What's wrong with America is that the American dream is financial, not ethical. The American dream is not ethical, it's financial. The American dream is to own a house and to own a car, right? And to have some whatever kind of configuration of family that you want, and to have a good job and a 401k, come on now, and some dental, some health insurance, and some good visual. That's the American dream. And then they retire by the time you're 60. Oh, what does any of that have to do with being ethical? None of it. Because by the way, you can get all of everything that I just mentioned and not have a moral bone in your body. Ask Donald Trump. I'm just trying to let you know what's wrong with America is that the American dream is to buy stuff, not to become something. And that's why 74 million people could vote for Donald Trump, because they were already unethical, so they did not mind being led by a liar. The American dream isn't to be committed to justice or to be righteous or to be ethical or to be loving. That's not the American dream. No, nobody says the American dream is for you to be a good person, a righteous person. That ain't the dream. It's to own a house, own you a car. But let me remind you of something. Some things cannot be bought and sold. You hear me? Some things ought not be up for sale, and your soul and your dignity should be one of them. America's always going to try to buy and sell you. You make sure that you let people know who come into your life that you're not for sale and you don't have a price, because you're priceless. And you remember that. And if somebody can't afford you, you keep on moving. Let's move on. So, let's talk about cops, and particularly two cops in California. Two cops in California tried to sue the state of California because they were fired from their jobs for playing Pokemon instead of responding to a robbery. Yes, Pokemon. These two cops were fired, and they sued the state to get their jobs back because of the city. They sued the city because they wanted to get their jobs back because they were caught because of cameras in the car. They used cameras in the car to find out that these two officers, let's get their name, Louis Lozano and Eric Mitchell, are the two officers who were caught playing Pokemon instead of responding to a robbery. Okay, 2, 3, you listening? Jay, you listening over there? It takes a lot of gall for you to dare to sue somebody for catching you for doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a lot of chutzpah. You got to have a lot of decadence deep down in the dark places of your soul to think that you have the right to sue somebody for catching you for doing something stupid. You silly rabbits playing Pokemon, and you're supposed to be stopping a robbery. But watch people who try to make you feel bad about what they're doing to you. It's a master manipulator who tries to make you feel guilty for the crime that they committed. They got the nerve to sue somebody as if they are now victims when somebody was robbed and they busy playing Pokemon. Playing Pokemon. I never played Pokemon a day in my life, and I ain't playing it. No offense to Pokemon, I'm just saying. But here's the wisdom. You ready for it? Watch people who would rather play games than come to your defense, because they cannot be trusted. Watch people who would rather play games than be committed to you, because they should not be in a relationship with you. Watch people who rather play games than be honest with you, because they don't love you. And watch people, you better watch people, indelibly, you better watch people who will come to your funeral but won't come to your rescue, because they should not be in your life. And the truth of the matter is, we all have people who are more committed to games than they are to the seriousness of love. And let me tell you this to your face, love is no game. It has never been, and it will never be, and it requires a seriousness of the soul to accomplish it and do it well. But we got to, I'm told that not all police are bad. I'm told that not all police are ignorant, but this story ain't helping to make that case at all. These two officers did not respond to a robbery because they were playing Pokemon on their phone. They got caught by the cameras in their car, and they had the nerve to sue the city for catching them. What in the world has the world come to? I don't know what the world has come to, but I know what I'm coming to. I'm coming to clarity about this one thing. The people who are interested in being around you, they ain't got time for games, because you are the thing that they're interested in. Listen, I got a lot of ground to cover tonight. We're going to do some Ask Dr. Sean. I can't wait to talk to Jay tonight. I'm excited about listening to him. I want you to get to know him. I want you to summon all of your empathy and your compassion for him. When you watch this show is about empathy and compassion. It's not about nothing else. You hear me? We don't judge. We don't condemn. We don't critique. We love. That's what we do here. That's what we do at Fox Soul. Happy 2-year anniversary, Fox Soul. Let's take a break. I'm taking it early. Get over it. Go to break right now. Back, everybody. I know one thing for sure. I know we all want to be loved, right? I know we all want to be accepted on some level, and I know we all want to be cared for. Every human being has those fundamental desires. We may express them in different ways, and we may do different things because we're motivated by them, but all of us want to be cared for. Yeah, I want that, you want that. And my guest tonight, of course, he wants that because he happens to be a human being too. So all of us want it. Jay has a journey, and I can't wait for you to listen to it, hear about it, and to meet. And welcome to the show tonight, my dear brother Jay. Hey, Jay, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, I'm excited about the opportunity to listen to you and to talk with you. Before we get into why we brought you on, because you have such a powerful story and how that story is affecting you, which is really what I want to talk about, right? All of us have childhood trauma, right? All of us have something in our past that we're dealing with. And tonight we're going to focus mostly on how that trauma is affecting you as an adult. Because what I always say, Jay, is that trauma is a time traveler, right? It moves through the decades with you. But before we get into that, let me ask you some goofy questions because I'm a little goofy, as you can tell from my headlines. I move between the goof and the seriousness. I just move so easily between those two things. So here's my first goofy question. It's not that goofy, but who's some of your heroes? Who are your heroes?
Some of my heroes. Well, growing up, I always loved Martin Luther King. But I mean, so he's always been like one of someone I always admired and looked up to. But I mean, right now, I think the nurses are my heroes. You know.
Yeah, I thought you might have more to say to that. So why is a nurse your hero? Tell us.
Well, I mean, I'm actually in school to become a nurse at the moment. So, I mean, what other way to, to give credence to your potential future life, and then to actually just be what you admire, and that's a nurse. So, because of what's going on right now in the world, I think it's really important to stand for something that is definitely like community oriented and community based. Yeah.
Love it. What's your favorite place in the world? Your favorite place to visit in the world?
Brazil.
Look at that smile. You must have had some good times in Brazil, sir.
Well, I've been teaching myself Portuguese, and I speak some Spanish and some French. I listen to music and watch television shows with subtitles in different languages. So I've completely immersed myself in it. And I happen to love bossa nova music. It's quite relaxing and therapeutic.
What would you like to be remembered for?
Well, I feel like everyone doesn't need to be like a Beyonce or Michael Jackson or Martin Luther King, but I feel like there are small incremental ways that we can all help to shape and foster and develop growth in each other's lives. So however I can be of service, in whatever capacity. I mean, that's pretty much what I'd like to be remembered for. And, just really getting behind something and just, and really having passion and dedication and commitment to it.
No, I mean, all of those are substantive answers. I was trying to tap into your goofy side, but
my goofy side.
No.
I'd like to be known and remembered for my Portuguese. Would you want to hear some?
Sure, give me some.
Eu sei que me pode ter pouco intimidante, mas talvez eu possa ajudá-lo, sugerindo-nos maravilhosos pratos que são completamente muito saborosos. It's something that I used to say when I was a waiter.
What did you say?
I talked about a menu being, I used to work at the Cheesecake Factory for like 4 or 5 years. And basically we would get all these Brazilian tourists and, there's this 23-page menu. I don't know if you've ever been to Cheesecake Factory, but it's 23 pages front and back. And, people are always intimidated by it. So it was something to kind of, ease and provide some comfort to the guests, and then also me speaking a language that their native language also helped to bridge a few gaps for
Okay.
us too. So,
Oh, listen,
yeah.
I'm impressed. My man 2-3 knew what you said. I don't know. You speak Portuguese? Portuguese? It's close to Spanish. Well, he knew what you said. So listen, when the show is over, y'all could talk Portuguese and Spanish, and I'll speak Harlem.
Okay.
I speak Harlem. All right, listen. So I'm glad I got you to laugh, because that my goal, because I want to have this conversation without reliving, right, what happened.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that we slid into it with the right energy, with the right vibration, with the right intention, because
Absolutely.
I want you to leave this conversation as whole and as healthy and as secure as I believe we're going into it. But I want to begin by saying this, or asking this. I know you suffer from childhood trauma, which, by the way, I don't even want to name it. Let's not. Normally I name things, but I don't want to name this. What I want to know more importantly is, how is it still affecting you? Because what you give us tonight is an opportunity to understand how what you went through when you were 9 or 12 or 13 or 15 or 16 can still affect you when you're in your 20s and 30s. So how is it still manifesting in your life? That's what I want to get to.
Okay. The way that is still manifesting in my life today is because how you think and how you believe about yourself it is quite important, and along the same lines, what you say about yourself, your self-image of yourself, your self-concept, all of these things all play into your everyday life. When you're on an interview, when you meet someone for the first time, or when you are just simply behind closed doors with someone, and your ability or inability to just be confident in that moment.
Yeah.
All I think, has to do with like you said, like you mentioned before, the type of upbringing and what was instilled, and the essentials of all those components that you either held on to as protein, or you discard it as like fat in a meal, So depending on how you dealt with it, or how you choose to view it, then that kind of like is going to have an effect on all of your interactions.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing you say, I'm going to put it in I statements for you. What I'm hearing you say about you is that your childhood trauma has affected your confidence. It's affected how you see yourself. It's affected sometimes even how you show up, how you manifest, right? How you appear in the world. Did I get it right?
Yeah, you got it 100% right. It's an ongoing process. We're always like, hopefully, in my mind, I know I'm always striving to become better. Each day I'm always striving to unlearn something, and then to learn something else that, to replace that with. And so that's been an important, especially recently after the pandemic and everything. It's been a very, very important and significant aspect of my life.
Listen, I totally affirm that in every way. And that makes me want to ask you, what is your most fundamental truth today? What is your truth? Who are you?
That's a really good question. I am I believe like who we are is constantly changing. Right now while we're having this conversation, my mind is like rewiring different routes to say what I'm gonna say. So yeah, I mean in that we're always constantly changing. It's always constantly in flux in the universe. That's one thing, right? So I think we're always evolving, constantly changing. And then we're constantly discarding and adding new things. And then I think ultimately,
Jay, hold on, man. Hold on, because you are so masterfully not answering this question.
Okay.
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 Who are you?
Who am I? who am I? I am an individual whose community taught me to, in a sense, to hate myself, and the way that the community was basically, is it okay for me to go into this in terms of, because I remember you started off with, we're not going to say this,
Well, listen. When I said we're not going to say this, I simply meant I don't want to talk. I know the story already because we talked to you before you came on. I don't want to talk about people in your life who are still living because I don't want to get sued. Okay, I don't. But you can name your truth, right? You can name your truth.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I was molested when I was about like 5 or 6, and by a same-sex molester. And the community that I was raised in is very, very vehemently and adamantly concerned and preoccupied with like demons and spirits. And basically I was confused. I really didn't have an idea of what was going on or what had happened, what had transpired. However, one of the main community members pulled me aside and said, hey, look, these demons are going to try to, influence your thought patterns and make you believe that you are attracted to the same sex, but that's a lie, and that's garbage. You do not believe that, and you do not want to get into a life where you're sinning willfully and just sinning against God. And so being so immersed, and then also wanting to, like you said, you mentioned earlier, everybody wants to be accepted and valued and feel loved and that kind of thing. So I accepted this as a total truth, like wholehearted total truth. And over the years, I allowed that to affect the decisions that I made or didn't make, or directions that I did go in, and my confidence level involving all those decisions. So are you following me?
No, you make it perfect sense. Listen. This is what I showed up for, because you're giving me not theory, you're giving me the story. You've taken me into the story of your life. I got to take this break in a second, but okay. Where you are right now is right where I want you to be, and I want you to stay there, right? Because okay. When we come back, what I want you to do for me is to tell me where you are with what you heard then. Don't tell me who said it, because I don't need to know who said it, right? Okay. But tell me where you are with that, all right? During the break, I want you to think about that. Like, where are you with the notion that someone said to you that because you went through that kind of trauma, you would develop same-sex attraction, and of course, same-sex attraction, according to them, is of the devil, and you shouldn't let the devil have you. Where are you with that, okay? And before we take this break, you may have a different story, you may have heard something different, but all of us picked up messages from places that we trusted, only to discover that the message we got may not have been the message we needed. Think about that. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm having this amazing conversation with Jay, who just before we took our break told us that when he was, whatever age he happened to be, he was traumatically molested by another male, and was told by his community that would release in him a proclivity to be attracted to men, and then he was told that was not of God, right? So Jay, where are you now with what you heard?
Well, that's a really good question. Well, I'm in therapy, and I've heard over the course of my life, like a broken record, like you seem like you should be way more confident. You seem like you should have way more everything. Always confident. Confidence is always on the other side of any criticism. And I think that's because I had, like I said, I adopted and subscribed to that philosophy. And because the way you believe and how you feel is so important, and really kind of like energizes and it's a representative of the world. They all see that. Everyone sees it. Even when you think that you can like masterfully kind of hide it or disguise it in some way or another. So I'm just trying to reprogram my thinking to learn how to love myself, flaws and all. I'm not, and I don't want to seem like I'm mad or anything. I totally understand where this came from. It all stemmed from just people being taught different things and then they just passing that down as a tradition, and so I get that, and I'm not like trying to like blame anyone or anything like that. I'm just trying to understand how to love myself through initially being taught that I should essentially hate myself in a sense,
And hold,
And
but Jay, hold on a second, because let me say two things, all right? Just because I got to say this just to be clear. Number one, we need to make clear for everybody watching that being molested has nothing to do with the determination of your sexuality, okay? Because that had nothing to do. That's a misnomer that runs in the culture that's crazy, that if someone is gay, it's because they were molested. And I know plenty of gay people who ain't never been molested. They ain't got nothing. And being molested doesn't make you anything other than traumatized and wounded and broken. That's what it makes you. Okay, having said that, where are you with embracing being in touch with your sexuality, who you are? That's what I'm asking you.
Now where I want to be. Okay, so basically, to spell it out, because of how I embraced everything, I use like indirect methods because I want to appear less controlled by this, like in a sense, So instead of like me saying, hey, let's copulate or let's, get on top of each other, I always say like, let's hang out or watch a movie and then just see what happens, because, I don't want to like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to willfully like committing that. I want to disguise it and make it seem as if it's not intentional. Like, it's like, like, oh, we just went out and then we ended up spending the night together and then, something. You understand what I'm,
Yeah,
am I making myself clear?
I do, but stop for a second because I got to do some work. I'm going to do some work. I'm probably going to keep you a little longer because I got to do some work. Okay, you ready for this? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, number one, what you heard when you were a kid was wrong. It was wrong. It was not right. It was not accurate. It was not correct. It was out of order. It was not something you say to a young person or a child. It was not how you respond to the traumatic molestation of a kid. You don't respond to molestation by making a kid feel further traumatized with fear. You follow me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was wrong. I don't care who said it. I don't care who said it. I don't care how much love you have for them or how much authority they were in. They were wrong. And it's okay for people that we love to be wrong. It's okay.
Absolutely.
And they were wrong. And so the reason I'm saying this and I'm sort of stopping you is because when I'm hearing from you is and you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am, but you correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing from you is this, it's that message is still living in you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still alive in you, and you're trying not to fulfill that prophecy.
Yes, I'm trying, and I have been trying, and it is an ongoing process.
But listen, stop, Jay. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm your brother, and I love you. But I'm saying, but that wasn't prophecy. That's my point. That wasn't prophecy. Prophecy is of God. Prophecy comes to make us more of what we're supposed to be. That was not a prophetic utterance about your life. That was somebody else projecting what they didn't like on you. Their fears on you. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
That was about somebody not wanting you to be something with no regard for who you already are.
Agreed.
So let me ask you again, because we kind of went there, but I'm gonna ask it again, and I'm gonna force you to give me a succinct answer. Who are you?
Who are me? Who am I? I am I I I don't. I mean, I'm trying to figure that out. I know what I didn't want to be because of what I believed
And
as
what
a
was that?
child.
And what didn't you want to be?
Well, after the community was saying that demons would try to, influence my thought process and stuff, I kind of alienated, and I'm already an only child, so I didn't want other people to be able to see those demons. I was afraid about it, and I alienated myself and just like kind of created my own friends. And because of that, I'm thankful that I'm very creative, when it comes to like different concepts and ideas and things things of that nature. That has definitely exercised my creativity to a great extent. But at this point, I want meaningful friendships and relationships. And unfortunately, I'm really, really discovering that the self-love has to be something that is there in order for you to be, in any capacity, in any kind of relationship or friendship. It's unavoidable. It's inevitable. It just has to be there.
Yeah, Jay, listen, I got to take a break.
Yeah.
Can you stay a little longer?
Sure.
Yeah, I want you to stay a little longer because I want to talk to you more. But I want to take this break. But before I take it, let me say this to you in no uncertain terms. Love is not demonic. Love is not demonic. Who you are attracted to, that ain't demonic either. And it just pains me that we grow up in these really religious, really pseudo-Pentecostal settings that fill people with these messages, and we end up loathing ourselves. People end up hating themselves, thinking they're doing the devil's work. You follow what I'm saying? Now, I'm gonna take this break. Hold on. While the deacon is sleeping with the choir member, and the pastor is over there sleeping with the you know what I'm saying? But we telling people who might have same gender attraction or might be same gender curious, we're telling them that they're of the devil. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. I'm talking to Jay. I made Jay stay. I only let the guests I like stay. Everybody else, I shoo them right on off. But I like you, and I like you because you're a seeker, and I like people who are seeking, right, knowledge and understanding, and seeking a greater level of who they are and their place in the world. I heard that you have a very complicated relationship with God. My producer told me this, and I said I've got to ask him what that means. So what's your I think I get it from what we've talked about, but I want to make sure if that's all of it. So where are you with the Creator? You think He loves you? Let me ask that. You think God loves you?
Personally, I know for sure, like without a shadow of a doubt. And even more, I mean,
no. Wait. I noticed something. You didn't say it. You noticed what? You know what for sure?
Oh, I know for sure that God loves me.
Okay.
Like, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely.
And your relationship with God is rooted in what? Love?
In love, absolutely. Yeah, and all of the help and assistance that I've received, for the most part, has been from the tribe that I am familiar with and that I call myself to.
Yeah. And listen, I have such great empathy for you because there's so many people that I know, so many people, that I've been connected to, similar issue, different issues, but those original messages, that original messaging that we get from our original world has such an impact on us. You know what I'm saying? And we spend our lives either running from it or running to it, trying to overcome it. And the problem with that is we never get to really be who we are, right? We never get to be more of what we're supposed to be. So let me ask you this. with your relationships, right? Your friendships, your intimate relationships. Would you say they're healthy? Would you say they're unhealthy? Would you say they're complicated?
I would say that they have a very long way to go.
Mm,
I only say that because that self-love is way behind where where it should be,
mm,
and so it's like I said, like I'm unlearning all of these things while then relearning the other things. And then you have life, and then you have a pandemic, and then you have like all of these other different things that and then you have
Okay,
within that.
Jay, stop, because I want to accelerate your learning. Okay,
Okay.
so tell me what you love about Jay. What do you
What I
love?
love about
What do
me,
you love about
I
you?
love that I'm passionate. I love that I love learning. I'm enthusiastic. I'm caring. I'm empathetic. I'm compassionate. I'm a very good student. I love learning about the human body. I'm fascinated, astounded by it even. And I want to be loved. And I want to be able to give and receive love, in a healthy way.
Mm. You want to give and receive love without feeling what?
Without turning people off by my insecurities.
Mm. Mm.
you know and that's really the core of where everything is. It's like I'm always like, oh, well, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? Always seeking a second opinion, always needing validation and approval, and always I mean, it runs the gamut, like, honestly, like, but it's at the point where it's just like out of control. It's and and even the fact that I moved here to LA to become an act, initially to be in acting and modeling, also speaks volumes, because that was that I found out, like, after being in therapy for so long. That was because I was trying to seek that validation and approval that I never got from parents, which, I know, from my community, excuse me. Are we okay?
Yeah, you gonna get us sued. But listen, let me stop here. Let me stop here. Let me stop you here and say this before I take this break. Because I do gotta let you go soon. But I want to say this to you. I don't know what the journey for you will be next, and I don't know what twists and turns you have to live through and overcome. But here's what I do know for sure. I do know that at your core, I sense you to be a good man. You are a good human being. And I sense you to be someone who is gifted. You're intelligent. You're vibrant. There's a life to you. There's a brightness to you. And I sense you to be someone right now, honestly, who's operating in fear. You're operating in fear. You are speaking in fear. You are thinking in fear. You are sitting in fear. And I want you to know that you have nothing to be afraid of, that nobody's chasing you. Nobody's coming to stalk you or hunt you. You follow me? The only thing chasing you is goodness and mercy, and you ought to slow down and let them catch up. That's the only thing chasing you, goodness and mercy. I wasn't there. I don't know the details of your beginning, but let's set your beginning aside for a second. I'm glad you're in therapy, and I want you to stay in that, all right? Because I don't want you to connect with anybody seriously until you do some more work on yourself, okay? But listen, let's set the beginning aside, and let's turn and face your future. And I want you to have a vision of what you look like happy, and what you look like being with someone who makes you happy, and being with someone who you strive to make them happy as well. I want that to mean as much to you as what you heard when you were whatever age you were that you heard it. Because I promise you this, Jay, look at me. I promise you this, that your future is a lot better and bigger than anything you've had to overcome. I'm telling you to your face that you got something special, and don't let one moment, one season, one trauma in your life consume you to the degree that you sacrifice everything that you deserve on the altars of what should have never happened to you. Believe, my dear brother, believe. If you don't believe in the Creator sufficiently, then believe in yourself. But know this one thing, that your future, it's still there. It's still there. Nothing you went through has canceled it. And I believe that when it's all said and done, you're going to be as great as you think you are. And when it's all said and done, you're going to overcome fear. And when it's all said and done, you're going to learn what it is to love somebody and let somebody love you. What you think about that, Jay?
I think that, you know,
short
that's
answer.
beautiful.
I got to take a break.
I wish,
Short answer. I got to take a break. Go.
okay, I wish I got it 10 years ago, you know?
Listen. Let me take this break. But when the student is ready, that's when the teacher shows up. So you ready for it, because I showed up to give it to you. Let me take this break. Thank you, Jay, for coming on. Don't you go anywhere. I'm going to do some Ask Dr. Sean right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Listen, I love talking to Jay, and I hope what you got from that is not everything who comes out of the mouths of the people you love is right or true, okay? Sometimes people give you what they got, and what they got ain't for you. It's more for them, okay? Let's do some Ask Dr. Sean. So, I got a video, and I got a little time to do it. So let's watch this video.
Hey, Dr. Sean, my name is Markel. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And listen, I got a question, and I know out of all people, you can definitely help me with this. So here's the situation. So I have a friend that just drinks all the time. Normally we have a good time hanging out. Everything is always good. But he always drinks, and when he drinks, it just typically goes left. So my question is, should I start inviting him to events where there's no alcohol, or maybe I should just cut him off? I'm trying to figure out how can I have that conversation with him without it turning into a bigger argument than what it was. Please let me know if you can help me.
No, great question. Thank you for that. That is really a conundrum, right? When you have someone who's struggling with an addiction, it doesn't just have to be alcohol. It can be food addiction. It can be sugar addiction. It can be porn addiction. It can be sex addiction, right? It can be drama and conflict. I know people who are addicted to drama and conflict. They just love it. They're not happy unless they got it, okay? But here's the thing. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. And if this person is coming along to events where there's alcohol and they're acting out and being disruptive, then it would behoove you, for your own sanity and peace, not to include them in those scenarios. If you know how it's going to end because their pattern is clear, then for you to interject them into a pattern that's going to embarrass them and ruin your night is a mistake that you don't need to make, okay? Because if I already know you're gonna trip and fall if you walk down the street, and then I bring you on the street that I know you're gonna trip and fall on, then what have I done? So I would say, I would really encourage you to start to limit, the spaces, at least when you're involved, that this person is engaged in that level of drinking. It doesn't mean he's gonna stop drinking. It just means he's gonna stop drinking as much around you, okay? Now, here's the other part of it, okay? Here's the other part, and this is significant. I do think you need to have a conversation with your friend, because I always feel like the first responsibility of friendship is honesty. Being honest with your friends. But I said on the show on Tuesday, and I'm going to say it tonight, that truth, for the sake of telling truth, is not helpful. It may be true, but it ain't helping nobody. You have to say the truth in a way that people can hear and receive. But the other part of that equation, and here's the point that I'm making, when people are addicted, when people are really in the throes of addiction, they're not always ready or able to hear what you have to say, no matter how you say it. But it doesn't mean you don't need to say the words. Your moral responsibility is to make the claim, is to make the statement, to provide the critique in love. And if you say it enough, you may catch them in a moment when they're ready to hear it. He may be at a place where he's starting to sense, or he may not be, but still say it. And here's what you say. If you don't know what to say, here's what you say. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about you. I love you. You always start with that I love you, that I absolutely care about you, and I believe in you. And I'm concerned that this is becoming an impediment to who it is I know you to be and what it is I know you to want for your life, okay? This is becoming an impediment. What do you think about it? And if the person is in the throes of the addiction, normally they will sort of pass it off as being nothing. I got it under control. Okay? Now, if you make it a different response, the response may be, you're right. You're right. I have a problem. That doesn't happen very often. But when and if he says, you know what, I got it under control, I'm fine, that's what you say to him, I don't think that that's true. And I'm okay to love you until you discover how not true that statement is. It's important after that conversation, when you're in that conversation, that you allow him to know that whether he's sober or whether he's drunk or makes a mistake, you love him. But you don't capitulate with what you know to be the truth. You understand what I'm saying? I really wish you well on this. And there are a lot of people right now who need to have hard conversations with people about the things that they're doing. I just want to caution all of you as you have these difficult conversations to have them in love and be prepared for the person you're trying to talk to not to be able yet to accept it. They don't need to accept it. They just need to keep hearing it. And one day they will. You follow me? Listen, I'm praying for all of you. I'm praying for my brother Jay. I want love for him and joy for him and freedom for him and liberation for him. And if you've been violated in any way at any stage of your life, make sure you get help, okay? Happy anniversary, Foxo. 2 years, baby. Hey, I love you.